Good morning. My name is Janine Mudge Mullen, and I'm a longtime member of First Church, as well as the chair of the First Church Standing Committee. First Church Trustees, different group, still equally important. And we're very glad that you're with us today on YouTube, if you're joining us online, or in person here in our magnificent sanctuary. I especially want to extend a warm welcome to any visitors who are joining us today. Welcome. To learn more about First Church Boston or about Unitarian Universalism, we say go visit firstchurchboston.org or contact Reverend Stephanie May, Lindsay Donnelly Bullington, or myself during coffee hour. And coffee hour is immediately following the service in the lobby area right outside. Today we have a few announcements. So our Christmas Eve service will be held this Tuesday at 5 p.m. It will be a very special holiday service with great music and familiar carols and a retelling of the Christmas story. It should be a lovely evening, and I hope to see everyone here. Tea Time with Lindsay continues every Monday from 1:30 to 3 in the Emerson Lounge, which is right outside of the sanctuary, and on Zoom. So you can email Lindsay for more information or talk to her at coffee hour. And the meditation group is meeting in the Bell Tower every Sunday at 10:30 before the service. And you can see Reverend Stephanie or Dan Palasuelos for more information, or check your order of service. And now I'd like to introduce Bill Gregor, who's going to talk to you about Lend a Hand.
Good morning. I'm here representing Lend a Hand this morning. We have a social justice collection, and many of you have heard me give this shtick before and know that Lend a Hand is an organization that's been close to First Church for over a century. It's 130 years old, founded by Edward Everett Hale, and we give out small grants to needy individuals that don't have another place to go. It's a very specific niche that we address. These are one-time grants. We're not someone who's paying the bills for people all the time. There are other organizations that do that. We help people who fall between the cracks, that don't have access to other sources and have a very particular need, a small need, under $1,000, and we help them. They broke their glasses and they can't afford new ones. They need a T-Pass to start work in the next week, and they want to be able to get a monthly pass so that they don't have to pay out too much. They can't make a rent payment. They were in the hospital. They are fallen behind, and they're being threatened with being evicted. And there are people that will take them if they're evicted, but someone to help them through that one painful payment while they go back to work and be able to pay again, we can help fill that. So very specific. There's a chart out in the narthex that'll give an example, and it'll show why we're very efficient, and we can give 100% of whatever you give to the needy. We have other sources of income that cover our very small fixed costs, and so the money goes right out there. I recently got a thank you note, I'm treasurer of Lend a Hand, from one of the folks that we helped. It said, "Dear friend, a mere thank you is never enough for the generosity of Lend a Hand in assisting me to pay my rent. It is truly heartwarming to know there are wonderful people like you in the world. I appreciate the help with all my heart. This, although small in the very big picture, will certainly help me in a very, very big way. May God bless you always for your kindness and generosity. I'm writing this with tears of joy and everlasting gratitude." This is someone that we made a difference in their lives, and we do that for 500-600 people every year. We've been doing pitches like this recently to be able to increase that from 500 to 600 and hopefully next year 700. so that they have a happy Christmas. Thank you all. Please give generously.
Good morning. I'm Lindsay Donnelly Bullington. I use she and her pronouns, and I am the intern minister here at First Church in Boston. What a gift it is to gather once more in worshipful community. Following last night's winter solstice, we gather in gratitude for the gifts of the mysteries of darkness, the return of light, and the abundance of seasonal change. We gather in a time of anticipation, awaiting the coming of the Jewish celebration of Hanukkah beginning on the 25th, and on the fourth Sunday of the Christian observation of Advent, the weeks leading up to the recognition of the birth of Jesus. We join with our siblings in faith by lighting the fourth Advent candle, following those recognizing hope, peace, and joy. We light this candle in honor of love. May the lighting of this flame represent the brilliance of the choice to love. May its warmth imitate love's welcome. And may its luminescence guide us in all our efforts to center love in all we do. I invite you to rise as you are able in body or in spirit and join with me in the words of our affirmation as we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please take a moment to greet one another, waving to the camera to the folks online. Please stay risen and join with me in singing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." We'll sing this twice through.
Be seated. And we need our extra helpers for our skit. Darcy. and Noel.
Oh, okay. Now can you hear me? The holidays. There's nothing like the joy of hanging ornaments while humming tunes. This tree's looking a little bare, though.
Well, we could decorate this tree, or we could use this app where you just find an ornament and then you drag it. It's like decorating without the mess.
For virtual ornaments, we could try virtual, what's next? Virtual snowballs? There's something special about holding an ornament, feeling its weight, its history.
Or we could combine both. Look at this. There's an app that lets you scan family heirlooms and create 3D printed replicas. That way, we preserve the originals while still having something tangible.
That's not a bad idea. We could, technology helping tradition. I like it.
That could be handy for the fragile ones, like this angel ornament. It's been in the family since 1952. But how do we scan it without breaking it?
That's easy. We use my phone's LiDAR scanner. It'll pick up every detail.
And then we could print it. What else can we tech up for the holidays?
Smart lights. We can program them to blink in sync with jingle bells.
Does everything need to blink and sync? When I was young, we used candles. A fire hazard, sure, but it was magical.
I get that, but the smart lights are safer. And you can still have the magic, just controlled through an app.
And let's not forget Zoom caroling. It's a lifesaver when you can't be together in person.
Zoom has been a blessing, but there's no substitute for harmonizing in the same room. You can't sync lagging audio.
Maybe by next year, AI will fix that. But honestly, tech can't solve everything. It's just a tool. How we use it matters.
That's very you of you. Balancing tradition with innovation, finding meaning in both.
And remembering that the holidays are about connection. Whether it's through this ornament or that gadget, let's decorate the tree together in person while we can.
And maybe add some smart lights for flair?
Fine, but only if you'll help me figure out why my Wi-Fi keeps dropping while I'm on Zoom.
Thank you very much to both of you and to Noel.
And in the spirit of our thespian production, we offer this reading from the book Digital Minimalism, Choosing a Focused Life in a Noisy World by computer scientist Cal Newport. Just before this excerpt, Newport explains how smartphone apps and social media have been designed to promote compulsive use. Our current unease, this is from the book, our current unease with new technologies is not really about whether or not they're useful, it's instead about autonomy. We signed up for these services and bought these devices for minor reasons, and then found ourselves years later increasingly dominated by their influence. The fact that our humanity was routed by these tools over the past decade should come as no surprise. As I just detailed, we've been engaging in a lopsided arms race in which the technologies encroaching on our autonomy were preying with increasing precision on deep-seated vulnerabilities in our brains, while we still naively believed that we were just fiddling with fun gifts handed down from the nerd gods. When Bill Maher joked that the App Store was coming for our souls, he was actually onto something. As Socrates explained to Phaedrus in Plato's famous chariot metaphor, our soul can be understood as a chariot driver struggling to rein two horses, one representing our better nature and the other our baser impulses. When we increasingly cede autonomy to the digital, we energize the latter horse and make the chariot driver struggle to steer increasingly difficult, a diminishing of our soul's authority.
Thanks, Grace. I wanted to introduce this next hymn myself. It's hymn 244, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And you might already know this, but it was written by a Unitarian minister, Edmund Hamilton Sears. What you may not know is that he was my predecessor in Wayland at the former church that I served. So we sang this every year, and I had to get it in our Christmas season too. It's just a lovely hymn, and it's a different hymn. It doesn't speak about Jesus and such in the same way. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we sing together hymns, verses 1 and 3.
Please join me in a centering moment by taking the deepest breath you've had a chance to take today. I invite you into a spirit of prayer or contemplation, spirit of life and love, God of many names, great and enduring mystery. We have so many gifts to offer. May we recognize them in each other and in ourselves. For the gift of a new day, of all that's grown in darkness, of the return of light, we give thanks. Some of us look forward to celebrating holidays with loved ones. Others notice with a heavy heart those who won't be present. holding one another close, we pray that we will all share in love and comfort. We pray that we might recognize those familiar bounties around us, our everyday blessings, and carry their beauty with us, that it might shed and multiply beyond us. We pray for peace in ourselves, peace in our church, peace in our communities, and peace in our world. As we move into a time of shared stillness, I invite you to join your prayers to mine. Gathered in community, we warmly share in the gift of witness, of holding one another in love through our prayerful and faithful attention to the movements of our lives. In this spirit, we extend now an invitation to share in this gift of witness, of attention, as you are invited to share the most special yearnings of your heart, your joys, and your sorrows. I invite you to come to the microphone, briefly share your joy or concern, and drop a pebble in this vase, indicating the ripple effect of our lives on the broader community.
Some of you know that I took a quick trip back home to Michigan earlier this week. My best friend from high school, who I realize we've now been friends for basically 40 years, her mom died. And that's that other mom when you're in high school. And it was just such a gift to have the time and the capacity just to be there and show up. So for Tanya and her family, and for the gift of friendship.
My wife and I have two big joys this season. Our daughter, who's 44, met a friend in the 2-year-old class 42 years ago at preschool. They have been sisters ever since, sisters with different parents. We were close to her parents too. As these two women moved into their 30s, through their 30s, both of them would have been happy to get married, but it wasn't happening. The friend, whose name is Mariah, our daughter is Bronwyn, Mariah was very determined to have a baby, and she was wondering how she was going to pull this off. And she and Bronwyn talked about the fact that they could raise a baby together. So, at age 44, Mariah gave birth to a beautiful little girl named Tess a week and a half ago. And Bronwyn will be the second mother. Bronwyn was physically present at the at the birth, C-section. So that's the joy number one. Joy number two is our son, who's been in a long-term relationship with a fine man whom we love for a long time. They saw the looming inauguration and the anti-woke backlash. And earlier this week, they were married in Boston City Hall. That's our second joy. Big ones.
Hi. Well, just yesterday, an old friend of mine, Ruthanna Welch, she had been a street singer in Boston for some years, a long time ago, passed away, and that's a sorrow, but in a way it was kind of a blessing because it was definitely going to happen. I mean, she had had Alzheimer's for a long time, and me and another friend and her son were with her yesterday morning, and I had just left, but she passed away while the other two were there, so her son got to be right there with her at the last minute instead of getting a phone call at 3 a.m. or something. So, and he gave her credit for picking a significant day to pass away on, being the solstice and everything. So it was kind of a relief in a way that it happened like that. Anyway, but it was a long, sad story. Anyway.
I have a sorrow and love. My dear friend Tristram is in the final stages of a 7-year battle with cancer. He has been my husband John's partner in musical shenanigans since they both moved to Boston in the early 70s. And he will be missed by many.
Hi, I'm on this side of the stage. So 2 things for you guys. One small thing is for my friend Alex, who is one of the tenors here. I'm sure you miss his voice. He misses all of you. Well, a lot of some other bad things that have happened, he came out with his own music. So if you want to stream his music, it's really great. And he's starting a whole new music writing career. So that's a joy. Another thing is in the last 4 weeks, I've gone to 3 funerals. And 2 of them are family members. And one of them was my high school advisor who was helping a lot of us young kids with that inauguration 2016, and was very comforting for us when we didn't feel like we had comfort in the world. It was very hard to go to her funeral, and for the 2 family members that we lost, and one of them, the daughter of that family member is currently in inpatient care for it. It's hard, and while we are appreciating gifts and presence, I advise you to appreciate the presence over presence at this time of year. So, thank you.
Hello. My gift is that my wife, Anna, has now taken 6 steps in rehab, and I hope that they will be able to get her out of there. I have learned through a family newsletter that one of the people in our family was a Native American, and he is gone from us, but they had a wonderful phrase. They said that he had, quote, joined the spirit world. And I think I rather like that. That sounds a tad more positive. I'm also put in mind of the scene in a Twilight Zone episode where suddenly a champion comes back to challenge a person. The person's astounded because he's dead. He said, "But you're dead?" "Not really. As long as people talk about you, you're not really dead. Well, as long as people say your name, you continue." Think of all the people that you have influenced in which you continue in their imagination and memory. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to let you know I'm going to be away for the month of January. My husband's family is in the Caribbean, St. Thomas. Unfortunately, we have to go to St. Thomas in the wintertime to appreciate the presence of our family there. And that's definitely what we'll be doing. On the sorrow side, just to let you know, there's some literature we mentioned that we're praying for peace, and this is about the ongoing war and death in Gaza. It's on the information table out front. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Metz Clark. I say that because after 20 years, I found out that my book, it's called In the Con, is going to be on Amazon the second week in January.
We'll drop one final pebble for all the joys and concerns, not spoken, but that linger in our hearts. These we share and witness as well.
Keep the tea close by these days. So in the late December of 2019, two friends and I visited the newly opened Encore Casino in Everett. We wandered the floor, played some slot machines, ate a meal, and took ridiculous pictures with the giant Popeye statue in all of his gleaming glory. What we did not worry about was COVID-19. 3 months later, the world was shut down. Time is a trickster. The pandemic certainly warped my sense of time, and perhaps yours as well. I find it hard to believe that just 5 years ago, we were entirely innocent of the experience of COVID-19. Lockdowns, supply chain shortages, masking, building ventilation, not to mention the monitoring of Boston's sewage for viruses. Who knew? What else have we all learned in the past 5 years? Almost universally, we have all learned how to use technology in new ways. As a Gen Xer, I was already comfortable learning new technology. My generation grew up alongside the digital transformation of schools, workplaces, and churches. But I also went off to college with an electronic typewriter, not a personal computer. And as a child, I'm being vulnerable here, my friend and I played catalog by pretending we were taking orders on the phone for the massive Sears catalog that arrived by mail in our home. So in a sense, I feel bicultural, comfortable in both an analog and a digital world. How about you? There is no question that technology enabled life-sustaining connections during the pandemic and still today. From socializing to the delivery of food, medicine, and other essentials, online tools have been critical in meeting human needs. Tragically, we also know that from delivery drivers to nursing home aides, some people suffered and even lost their lives while continuing to help others and meet the needs of others. For all of us who remain 5 years later, we are all different. Of the many pandemic lessons we could discuss, today I want to focus on navigating the use of technology. In recent years, I have become a fan of Cal Newport and his philosophy of digital minimalism. Now, Newport is no Luddite. He is an MIT-trained, tenured professor in computer science at Georgetown University. From a place of expertise, he passionately argues for an intentional approach to our technology use. He is particularly skeptical of social media, which he describes as designed to cultivate addictive behaviors of incessant engagement. What is at stake, argues Newport, is our autonomy. Who is in control of our attention and how we spend our precious time? In response, Newport advocates resetting our relationship with technology to focus on how digital tools support what he calls the deep life. He writes, "To me, the deep life is about focusing with energetic intention on things that really matter, in work, at home, in your soul, and not wasting time, too much attention on things that don't." So in short, know what matters, and then be intentional about where you give your attention and when. For me, some of this is as simple as turning off the notifications for emails on my laptop and my iPhone. So without that persistent but unpredictable ding or banner notification, I can focus on other work, like meeting with people or planning worship. And then when it's time, I go to check the emails. However, I admit that I have a sort of on-again, off-again struggle with limiting my time on social media, as well as following the news. And here is where I understand Newport's lessons to extend beyond computer technology. Because I think some of us may similarly struggle with our relationship to older or legacy technologies as well, like television or even radio. I suspect Newport might say that such older technologies are not as addictive as today's social media algorithms. Even so, I think the underlying questions remains relevant. Where do we choose to engage our attention? How much of our time and attention is devoted to some kind of electronic device? There are certainly gifts that technology has brought us. Even so, I wonder if focusing on our electronic devices might mean we miss gifts in real life, or IRL in text shorthand. For example, you cannot smell over the internet. That childhood friend with whom I played catalog, her house had the best smell. I'm not sure if this was because her mother loved to bake or chose really high-quality cleaning products. And likewise, I grew up aware that there were distinct smells in my two grandparents' houses. Each set of grandparents used a different brand of bar soap. And so when we stayed with them, we smelled different. We smelled like them. Nor can you taste online or over television, no matter how many hours of the Great British Baking Show or other cooking shows you may have watched. The ancient practice of sharing meals with others to build community is fundamentally altered when not eating together in the same space. And yes, we can chat over Zoom or the phone while eating, but we do not share in the same sensual experience of scent and taste. Sound is also different on the internet. As we joked in our skit earlier, there is that time lag on Zoom that not only makes singing difficult, but also disrupts the free flow of conversation. It can be hard to hear that quiet inhale of breath that can indicate a person is trying to speak. While technology is getting us closer and closer to the real thing, the sounds of speech and music are just not the same. But let me pause and thank the trustees for funding our wonderful new sound system and the tech team for, because I think we sound pretty damn good. Sorry, I shouldn't say that in church. In church. So the folks online, I know appreciate it. And finally, there is no touch or corporal presence on the internet. We can joke about not wearing pants on Zoom, but that also reflects how we do not see the embodied fullness of people. And when greeting another online, the warmth and gentle give of flesh in a handshake or a hug is missing. Science shows us that touch can communicate compassion and cooperation. And primates who spend 10 to 20% of their time grooming each other, touch builds cooperative alliances. And are we not still just apes with less hair? In sum, our humanity cannot be fully expressed online. This is not to say that digital tools are not helpful and sometimes even life-sustaining. But it is important to keep our perspective on whether we are the tools of a corporate competition for our attention, or whether we are choosing to use digital tools in service of our aims to live meaningfully and well. As a religious community, we exist for the promotion of the deep life, which is to say, being religious calls us to live intentionally. Together we strive to follow the aspirations of our church affirmation, to live in the spirit of love and to help one another. And there are so many ways we can help one another. Some of those involve technology, like talking over Zoom or sending an e-card. But some of those ways of helping can also be IRL. We can arrange to have coffee with a friend who is going through a hard time, or to bring them groceries. We can volunteer at a program with the UU Urban Ministry, or sign up to accompany an immigrant at court. You can be a Sunday morning greeter here or help plan a spring auction. Talk to Barbara. There is always a long list of possibilities. In fact, the need can be overwhelming. More than 100 years ago, the Reverend Edward Everett Hale looked around the city of Boston and saw tremendous need. In response, he helped to organize the entire city into districts of Unitarian churches that coordinated meeting the needs within those different districts. In addition to being a practical organizer of institutions and societies, Hale was a preacher and an author with an excellent turn of phrase. One of his most famous lines is, "I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by God's grace, I will do." In a time of overwhelm, it can be easy to withdraw and to divert our attention away from what we can do. At the same time, those digital tools we carry in our pockets and that rest on our desks can beckon our attention away from the real world and into an algorithmic current of distraction. I believe what we can do is be aware that online tools are trying to literally consume your attention. Knowing this, we can start to make different choices that may mean limiting our time online or listening to the news or not using certain platforms. We can consider how else we might want to spend our time in real life. Talking with neighbors or friends, enjoying a quiet moment unplugged in a city park, or finding a way to help another. My hope for all of us is that we can cultivate a deep life, a religious life shaped by our values, including the value of doing what we can to lend a hand in real life. Life and love are so precious. May we resist the tug of technologies that would divert our attention from the wonder of being alive with others here and now. May it be so. And I invite you to give generously to this offering for Lend a Hand, which, as you heard Bill explain earlier, is such a great organization inspired by Edmund Everett Hale, which you mentioned, right? Hale was a minister of South Church, was merged with First Church, so we've got Hale Chapel upstairs, so he's one of us. So please give generously so that those in helping others. Thanks. Please be seated. I promised you a surprise, and the poor ushers were completely confused. So, this is something I've always wanted to do, and I'm really excited to do this. This is a reverse offering. So Lindsay and I are going to hand you all an envelope. And on the envelope, it says, please use this money to lend a hand in a way that expresses the values of First Church in Boston. And once you've spent, and there's a random amount of money from $20 to $100 in each envelope. And this is a way, in the spirit of Hail, to keep this alive, to take a little bit of something from your church and bring it out into the world. And ideally in real world, not just go online and find something to donate to. Which, if that's the thing that's really calling to you, do that. And if you are the person for whom this money makes the difference for you today, then I'm glad that gift is for you. Once you have given a gift, if you would, we'd love to hear the stories of how you gave the gift away. And we're going to set up something in the Emerson Lounge for you to leave a note, or you can email it to me if that's easier for you. You can, if you wish, remain anonymous with the story you tell. But I think it just will be wonderful. And if you're watching online, please just email me by Christmas Eve, and I'll get something in the mail to you as well. That's it. And we thought it would be fun to sing Go Tell It on the Mountain while we do this, because in a sense, you're spreading the good news of the values of First Church with these gifts that you bring into the world. So thank you. So please rise in body or in spirit, sing Go Tell It. I'm sorry I don't know the number off the top of my head, but
239.
Thank you. Okay, and Bob's going to play. This is going to be... Please join me now And, well, I guess I should say, enjoy that. This is supposed to be fun. I look forward to hearing how you impact somebody else and how that giving impacts you. And please join me now. I'm not extinguishing our chalice, which ran out of oil. So we are imagining. So this flame may be extinguished, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These carry in our hearts until we are together again, sustained by our connections to each other and to all that is holy. Let us go and be beyond these walls, engaging across difference, loving with abundance, and working together to sustain our shared world. Blessed be. Amen.